a question I had traveling up the comp ranks in the dance sport world was, how do I most effectively allocate my dance budget to get the farthest in competitive ballroom dance? And today's video is kind of geared towards competitors, but if you'd like a social dance answer, hey, put it in the comments and I can share another video on that. Okay. Secondly, if you have a suggestion on ballroom dance budget and where to get the most bang for your buck, share that in the comments too, because I always have a heck of a time consolidating 500 hours of information into a 10-minute video. Okay, here goes. Number one, if you can only spend money in one place, your top priority is going to be your training. Okay, guys? I've shared in previous videos, practice does not make perfect, it makes predictable, okay? And the skill level of your coach is going to be the glass ceiling for how good you can grow. I'm just saying, realistically, the odds of you outgrowing your professional and becoming better than them by taking with them only, slim to none, okay? And this is a little different for Open Pro. I'm gearing this towards the amateur competitive community today. Now, when I was competing, I invested as soon as possible in the best coaching I could, based on the advice of some world 10 dance champions that I took some visiting coaching on early on in my career. So by the time I got to gold, I was already traveling out of state. I was driving out of state. I was flying out of state for as much coaching as I could from the best coaches I could get access to, because there were no like people in my state that had done championship level standard. Which was I already knew at that time was going to be my passion. Okay, number two, by the time I got to novice, I was regularly traveling to New York City for coaching. By the time I got to championship, I was regularly traveling to London for coaching. And I was, honestly, I got up the ranks not because I am the most talented, beautiful, person in the world. I got up the ranks by dropping a ton of money on coaching to play catch up, essentially, because that's what you're doing. You are either catching up to the people that are ahead of you, or hey, once you get up to that glass ceiling, you're all doing championship, you're neck and neck. You're trying to actually grow faster than those other couples that are trying just as hard as you. So this does depend on your budget, but I would highly recommend investing in the best coaching you can. And if it's not in your town, hey, just get a home coach that you trust and then go to that visiting coaching as often as you can, even if it's just twice a year, to get those real expensive but valuable nuggets that your home coach can probably support you on, even if they're not at that skill level, okay? Number two, this is particularly important when you get to the championship level, friends, if you're an amateur, or in Pro-Am, if you're doing the open scholarship Pro-Am events, or especially if you're doing that World Pro-Am Dance Sport Series, friends. The comps you do are going to matter, and they're going to matter twofold, okay? First of all, if you're doing the World Dance Sport Series, the volume of comps you're going to do is essential. It is essentially a volume predicated program, a scholarship award, okay, where you don't have to be the best dancer at the comp, but you have to enter the most entries. I'm kind of painting with a broad brush here. And I believe there are about 90 competitions. Check the NDCA website for a list of those comps to see which comps you can accrue those points at throughout the year. Now, in my opinion, that is the most expensive goal you can have in the world of dance sport. You know what? But hey, if you got the budget for it and that floats your boat, great. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just warning you guys that it is a heck of a lot of money. And so if you feel, well, I do have a lot of money to that in savings, don't be borrowing money for this, that I can afford to, invest in this, and this is going to make me feel proud. Heck yeah. Do you get bragging rights to all your, friends you're sending, Easter or, New Year's Eve cards to or whatever? Heck yeah. But it is spendy. Okay, now secondly, if you're going for that prime scholarship, open scholarship, not the closed scholarship categories like closed bronze, closed silver, but those open scholarship, those are definitely more competitive, friends. And in my opinion, it will benefit you to go to some of these larger comps. So those same comps, I'd probably refer the amateurs to, certainly Ohio Star Ball, Embassy, Emerald. Ask your coach. And unfortunately in prom, you are going to be a little bit limited by which comps your coach wants to do, because they can't do them all. There's one on every coast, basically every single weekend that's sanctioned, okay? They only have so much time. So I would go to your coach and say, here's my goals. How can you best help me achieve these goals? And they'll spell out which comps are going to be, best for you and doable with what their schedule is, okay? And what, if they kind of have a harem of students they're bringing to that comp, it might be, how many comps, which comps their other students want to do, because obviously the more students they can bring to one comp, they're going to make bank. One student is not going to be a super high dollar impact on them. Many pros will do it, and that's awesome because they can focus on you, but just know that's, expensive. Then you got to pay for 100% of their travel and stuff like that. So the comps are going to be your second most important. There's a lot of politics involved here too that I've shared in previous videos. The comp owners and the judges, there's kind of a symbiotic relationship there. They often have a hard time bringing in people that meet these NDCA requirements for the judging panel. Because you risk, if you judge a lot, you dump your students to go fly away for a week, you're going to lose those students. You know what? If you're not reliable as a teacher, doesn't matter if the other pro's not as good as you. There's something to be said for being respectful, appreciative of the students, showing up for the lesson when they want it. So there is a risk, so to speak. There's an opportunity cost to those judges. So it can be hard to find, cherry pick all the best people. And so often, guys, they essentially, I don't want to say they trade services in terms of money. That wouldn't be legal, but they'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to judge this person's comp and they're going to judge my comp, which to me is totally fair. But what does that mean for you as the competitor? Well, if I show up to a comp that I know, I won't say names, but I do know coaches, judges, owners that kind of swap these. Okay, well, I'll do one this for you if you do one for me. If they see you at their comp dropping a lot of money and then they're judging you at the next comp, I'm not saying it should be the case, but there is a chance you're going to get higher marks, preferential marks, even subconsciously from that judge who just knows that you dropped, 10 grand at their comp, last week. Again, this hopefully doesn't happen, but I have seen situations over the decades where it appears to me this is a possibility. That's all I'm saying. Don't sue me. Okay. Okay, next up. Your final priority, in my opinion, is going to be your costuming. Is costuming important? Do you want to look like amateur out there, like you shopped at the local, thrift store? No. But you can save a ton of money on used costumes, first of all. You can, even at the most elite levels of dancing, guys, you're fine getting one costume a year. Do not drop money on 10 costumes a year unless you, again, have the savings for it, okay? And that's up to you. If your goals aren't necessarily competitive, but you want to have beautiful pictures and feel glamorous, heck yeah. Don't spend money on a lot of comps. Don't travel to comps. Just do a couple a year local as you can with the cheapest coach you can and drop a ton on the costumes. That is up to you. But if you want to get far in the dance sports, kind of progress nationally, I would not prioritize the costume, guys. Also, I recently on my channel interviewed a professional dance sport costume designer. And I was 100% in agreement with her on this, guys. A inexpensive costume with limited number of stones, very high quality stones put on there by a professional is going to look 10 times better on the floor than a cheaper version of a fancy costume, so to speak, guys, because ultimately you are judged on the dancing, okay? And really at all levels, guys. I'm not saying that costume isn't fun. You know, the first year we were allowed to wear costumes as amateurs when you hit novice. When I hit novice, guys, I think I bought 5 costumes that year. I was so excited. But you know what? The costumes do go out of style. It's kind of like buying a car. Once you use the thing, you know, in 5 years, oh, that's an old car. You know, then once you drive that bad boy off the lot, well, I just lost a whole bunch of value there. Costumes are no different, okay? So there are also very, just like streetwear, very high status brands of costuming. And I can say, just from owning different levels, so to speak, of these price points, are the high end costumes extremely well made? Oh my gosh, yes. And the difference is notable, especially if you have some issues with your figure. They have a ton of built-in, I'll call it almost molding shapewear for your body, make your body look like anything that the less expensive costumes don't. But you know, are you judged on your figure out there? No, it's the dancing. But, you know, if you have, you know, that savings and that's a priority for you, you know, just evaluate, is that worth 10 times the price? And is that worth, if you have a limited budget, the lessons I'm going to miss out on to become a better dancer? And again, in my opinion, in my experience, it is the dancing that is ultimately judged, okay? So anyway, guys, I hope that has been helpful for you, in my opinion and my experience. But number 1, coaching. Number 2, the comps. Number 3, the costuming, if I had to pick and choose. Okay, I look forward to seeing you first thing tomorrow morning. Hope you found that to be helpful. See you in the morning. Bye.